Welcome back. We're now joined by Lloyd Sikeba, a leadership and mental wellness facilitator who's passionate about shaping confident, purpose-driven leaders. And Lloyd is the facilitator of the Learners, Leadership and Mental Wellness Training, taking place under the theme Rest, Refocus, Rise, from Learners to Leaders. His work focuses on empowering prefects, LRC members, and learner leaders with essential skills in leadership, confidence, communication, emotional intelligence, and mental well-being, equipping young people to lead effectively both inside and outside of the classroom. Lloyd, good evening and welcome.
Thank you very much. Good evening.
Thank you so much for being here. Let's start first with the heart of this training that you're going to be facilitating. What inspired you to focus specifically on learner leadership and mental wellness?
Thank you very much. So I think first to start off as to what caused the inspiration is I've been observing for the past 5 years now. I've been training that as young people on leadership as well as from high school to student leadership and even people within senior positions. And one of the things that I picked up is that within the aspect of leadership, there is a vacuum of understanding emotional wellness and emotional well-being. However, moreover, because I advocate around mental health as well, so it's something that I usually incorporate within my trainings. And I got to realize that once a learner is not well emotionally established, despite how equipped they are to lead, they also break down. They also go through burnout. How do they handle these things when they are leading others? And there's also a perfectionist pressure that is labeled on them. How do they handle that? And once they burn down, this is where we get to see sometimes and we question ourselves, how is a leader failing? Aren't they supposed to be actually performing? And then the question comes back and I'm like, but hey, who has ever taught them on how to handle these emotions, their well-being, especially when they lead? And how do they put all this together? And it's very important to understand that leadership and mental wellness or mental health, these are two things that are co-joint. We cannot separate both.
When you speak of emotional wellness and emotional well-being, define those for us in your own words.
Now, emotional wellness and emotional well-being. Now, emotional wellness is how the state you're at in terms of your emotional well-being. Can you, that is, understand yourself as well as in terms of your emotions? Can you regulate self-awareness? Emotional well-being is that, are you in a state to operate or in terms of whatever is happening around you? Regardless of the pressure that you're receiving, do you have tools at your disposal? Do you understand how do you handle certain things around you? Do you understand how do you deal with others, other people around you's emotion?
The theme that you're hosting this event under is Reset, Refocus, and Rise. What does this mean for a learner leader navigating the school pressures of today?
I think thank you very much. It's very important to understand that many times we're always hard on ourselves. And when I say reset, I'm just trying to air out and say that, look, it's okay to start over. It's okay to understand that we are human beings. We make mistakes. So we shouldn't be hard on ourselves as leaders that, no, I'm supposed to be this perfect. But I'm supposed to actually be kind to myself and say that, you know what, this is a learning point and I can actually move from there. In terms of refocusing itself, it speaks itself. As a leader, as a young person, it's very important to understand that, what am I focusing on? I need to refocus on my goals. Yes, there will be noise around me, but how do I refocus the goals and aim as to achieving these goals, understanding that I don't ignore myself and also my well-being through the process of leading others while I also lead myself. And when we also then, that is a reset, refocus, and then also the last one, we then also say the rise. Whereas apart from while all this thing is happening, be very courageous to understand that mistakes will happen. But we rise. You will fall so many times, you will be criticized, but what's very important is that you stand up, you learn from that mistake, and you move forward.
Many learner leaders struggle silently with confidence. I don't think just learner leaders, I think people in general do. They also experience stress. They also struggle, with the expectations that have been placed on them. So how does this training practically address mental health within the school setting?
Wonderful. I'd just like to borrow just the word that you just said right now, practically. So this training it touches on practicality. It is not a book approach, whereas we're speaking from, yes, leader this, leader that. I myself have been privileged, or should I say, I've had the honor to serve as a learner representative that is back in the years in high school, and also transitioning as well as to university, where I served also as SRC president, and also it still continues within different leadership roles. And I've got to understand that there's certain things that we need to learn. Now, when we come to that as in terms of how does this change, there's a practical approach in terms of mental wellness, mental health discussions as to the serious and critical challenges that learners face. You know, from the classroom, that is activities. There's always that pressure of a learner representative being able to lead others, standing on assembly, ensuring that everyone gets to class and all this. But how many of us tell them as to how do they get to deal with their homework when the time is not there? How do they handle their emotions? How do they handle conflict? How do they handle also that is life circumstances or challenges that they face?
Yeah.
Because one thing we tend to forget is that apart from a learner being a representative or a leader, they're also human.
Yeah.
And they also experience life like any other individual.
100%. You're covering areas such as public speaking, communications, and purpose-driven mindsets. Why are these skills so critical for prefects and LRC members?
Now, it's very important to understand that as a leader, communication plays a huge role. Now, if you can't communicate your vision effectively, you cannot expect a people or a group to follow you. So when it comes to communication, leaders need to understand is how do I articulate myself? How do I communicate purpose? How do I communicate direction and influence in that perspective? And confidence, on the other hand, also plays a huge role. You can't convince someone if you yourself don't even feel convicted that, yes, I believe in what I'm saying and I understand as to why we're going there.
Yeah.
And also when you come to, also in terms of dealing with that is, there are a lot of actually components that we'll be dealing with. There's also that is in terms of dealing with real life expectations, dealing with conflict as well.
Yeah.
How do you handle conflict that is both from internal, yourself, and also how do you handle conflict that happens within the lens?
That's a skill that we undermine so much, conflict resolution.
Yes, very much. And how do you handle conflict on both levels as to yourself, and also how do you deal with conflict from other peers or learners? And also what happens also when there is conflict between a teacher and a learner, how do you mitigate that aspect?
Yeah. When you say effective communication, what are the sort of foundational blocks that makes up effective communication in your own words?
Now, in my own words, in terms of, to put it in terms of effective communication is speaking, writing, and as well as that is getting the message across. You know, do you understand the objective and also understanding feedback? Because it's very important to understand that effective communication also aligns with feedback, because you can communicate, but if the feedback is not being received, there's something that is missing. Feedback can be verbal and non-verbal, but it also requires you to understand as to how do I approach it, how do I get to know that this is the feedback that is coming from the communication that I've actually sent out, and has it been effective regarding the response?
I love that you use that, you know, feedback can sometimes be non-verbal. Because another skill when it comes to effectively communicating and also, you know, having emotional intelligence is being able to read a room.
Very important.
Yeah. Well, from your experience, what do you think is the biggest mistake, Lloyd, that schools make when it comes to developing learner leaders?
I think from the observation and also just growing up and learning, and every day I study and I watch and observe as to what's really happening in learner leaders. One of the most critical points that I've seen is the picking of student leaders based on popularity or grades. Because Lloyd is an A student, we say, oh, Lloyd, you can actually be a leader. We push you to the forefront, but we forget that leadership is not just about the brains. There's character involved. That is an aspect of servanthood. Like, are you having that nature to serve the people? And also, are you willing to learn through the journey? Yes, I have seen that as learners whereby maybe selected that is by grade. Oh, you're matriculating. Fine, we're placing you as the chairperson. However, if we look at that young grade 9-year learner, they have actually a certain caliber of leadership that even makes those that are in grade 11, AS level, to actually follow the mission and the vision that they're stewardship or that they're leading. So it's not just, that's the first one. It's about grades, and also that is the performance. That's one of the problems that I've seen. And then secondly is also popularity. And why I say this, it's very dangerous to put someone because they are popular when they do not possess leadership consciousness in terms of, do I understand what this is all about? I can have so many followers on TikTok, the whole school can love me because I am the dancer and so forth, but do I understand, or do I have the zeal in me to actually take the people around me, the learners, to a vision that is well and beautiful? Point A to B, which is the best place. How do teachers and principals, for example, play a role, Lloyd, in supporting learner leaders beyond the classroom, you know, after training such as this, for example? Now, after training such as this one, it's very important to understand that they play a huge role. Why do I say this? trainings are more of like motivation. Despite how you get it today, you still need it more, because after the training, the learners go back to the same environments that they thrive in, or that the environments where this all activities or their character is now brought out.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's very important now for teachers, community also to, encourage, mentor, to also guide, to also, that is, remind them about, what is this all about?
Yeah.
More of like refreshers, like this is how you go about it and so forth.
Tell us where the training will be happening, and for somebody watching this evening, a young learner, a young leader who's interested, where can they reach you to get some more information and so forth?
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Ms. Nina. So the training will be taking place in Windhoek. The location hasn't been yet specified. This is in accordance to the RSVPs that we're receiving, because we didn't want to limit that as the room in accordance to that is the RSVP. So for those that would like to, that is, get hold or maybe participate, they can actually reach us on our social media platform. That is at Lloyd Sikeba. The poster is there, or they can reach me, that is on my personal number, so that we take and send them, that is the link on how they can register, which is 081 67 52 703. Let me repeat that again, 081 67 52 703. So we encourage teachers, learners that are also emerging to leaders. You might also see potential in someone young and say that this would be a great leader. We're also encouraging them to also come. It doesn't mean that because you're only a prefect. The question is, what happens when the prefects are gone?
Yeah.
Do we have someone that has been prepared to take on the baton?
And what dates are we looking at, Lloyd?
So the dates, it will be on the 21st of February 2026. That is next month. And that is on the 21st. That's the dates we've scheduled.
Fantastic. Well, Lloyd, thank you so much for being here. We appreciate it, and all the best for the training. Thank you.
Very much.
Well, our conversations will continue after.